Hi, it's Richard Pearce from Finextra TV, and it's a privilege today to be joined by David Katz, who's the CEO and founder of Plastic Bank. David, hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I was saying, you look like you're in the recording studio and you're just going to, break out in Sweet Caroline for me or something. But great to have you. Great to have you with us. I love the story of Plastic Bank, and nobody better to talk to us about it than you, of course. Tell us a bit about you, how you got into this and founded Plastic Bank, and what it is. Describe it to people.
What we're doing had to occur for the world, and anyone we ask, do you think someone has to do something about what's happening in the ocean? Everyone is like, yes, of course they do. Someone has to do something about it. Most people arrive at that as a second conclusion. They first know in themselves, I want to do something about it, but I don't know how. As they come to the conclusion that someone else has to do it. And so ultimately, we're a beautiful conduit for the world to gather together to create the change that they wish to see occurring in the world. How does that look, in the field for us? We're a global chain of bank branches or stores for the world's poor, where everything in the store can be purchased using plastic garbage. We offer school tuition, medical insurance, Wi-Fi, cooking fuel, clean water, everything the poor truly need but couldn't afford using garbage as money. So what lies inside of all of that? We've created a monetary standard. It's a network that allows the effective, authentic, transparent exchange of material value that then lands in the hands of the world's poor, ending suffering, ending poverty, and creating a new paradigm around the value of material. In the end, circular economy model where the material then goes back into the packages of our customers like Henkel, who uses the plastic. Social plastic is the material that we collect and trade. Social plastic goes back into a bottle of, say, Nature Box or something like that, so that when a consumer buys it, they are, in fact, the person that they wish to see in the world. They are, in fact, helping the poor end poverty and keep plastic from entering the ocean.
It's just an extraordinary story. And tell us a little bit more about that process of how you bring the poor to collect the plastic in a way that's not exploitative, but puts it back into the chain, and that the end product is traced through to, as you say, the brand that wants to then promote the fact that they're using, ocean plastic or whatever it may be.
More money has to land in the hands of the poor. That's definitely what has to happen. It's not typically what occurs around the world within, waste collection and management. And for us, it's the use of the blockchain to take a hyperledger fabric. It's IBM blockchain platform that allows us to create the transparency and authenticity, making sure that no money is lost in the supply chain and that most of it lands in the hands of the poor. It also helps us, prohibit the, exploitation of children and creates the transparency so that we can understand what's occurring in the ecosystem. So it's really the blockchain that provides the platform, the authenticity, and then it's really creating that banking architecture using that to be able to provide a sense of transaction to the poor.
And can you give us a sense of the sort of scale of where you operate, and how much plastic is processed through, or how many poor you've supported? What's your kind of key KPIs in that regard?
There's around 26,000 registered collectors. We influence somewhere around 100,000 family members. So we're operating in 5 countries. This year will be 9. We've collected about 1,500 million bottles, so 1.5 billion bottles. And we put about 40% extra income into the hands of our collector communities. And we have hundreds of schools and hundreds of collection locations that participate in the ecosystem. We're really gig economy model. We're more like Uber for recycling for the developing world.
How long has it taken you to get to that stage, David?
Had the idea May the 11th, 2013, just been in continuous daily execution since. And it is much more of my own personal journey than the business journey. And the more that I become the CEO of an organization that can change the world, the more the world changes. So it certainly is a, philosophical, spiritual journey to get to where we are.
And do you see, in terms of the sort of scale of the work you've been doing, is it exponential? How do you actually, do you see a hockey stick kind of approach here? Where's it going?
It needs to be exponential. I mean, the ocean can't wait. 2030 is around the corner. It's estimated that more plastic in the ocean than fish will occur by then. That's just next week, really. And we need to be in continuous action. Now, a couple of our scalable models are schools, where we teach 6, 7, 8, 9 year olds to teach their parents about environmental stewardship. But more importantly, they teach their parents that they can take the plastic and return it to the school to pay for the school tuition. And then the school benefits, the school makes some money, the family makes some money. And then ultimately that child learns that environmental stewardship is what helps end poverty. It's one globally scalable model, because every community, no matter where you are in the world or how poor, has a place of education and has a place of faith. One of the programs we've created, our first entry into this faith model and community, is with with the church that encourages the parishioner to not just bring tithing on their day of worship, but to bring their recycling as tithing. Because no matter where you are in the world, you've got a place of community or a place of faith and a place of education. Those are scalable models. And then ultimately it's about putting that application, that, Uber of recycling, into the hands of every family, so that the family looks at the material like money. It's not garbage. It's not thrown in the street. It's not waiting on someone who's picking material. The family, the mother, earns a bank account. She earns financial inclusion, because the more frequently that she collects and returns the material, she actually earns a credit rating. She gets credit worthiness, and she has the ability to then borrow money and name herself as a beneficiary against an insurance policy that she might take on her husband or other things. It's plastic is money. It's a monetary standard.
I mean, it's so powerful to me. I remember going through North India only a few years ago, and you could see the villages literally collect and sort every single thing, from
Yeah.
animal waste to burn or whatever it might
Sure.
be for food,
Uh-huh.
to heat food. But plastic, they can't do anything with, and there is no waste disposal. So, if it has this value you're talking about, you can
Yeah.
see they've already got the mindset. It's just
Exactly.
the way of
Exactly.
actually, yeah,
Yeah, they're the world's most resourceful people. If they're not
yeah.
resourceful, they die. So you give them
Yeah.
an application, you give them a way to truly be exponential, and they flourish with it, of course.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, let's go to the other end of the scale. What sort of, the brands that you're working with, how are they operating this? What's in it for them?
We've got about 300 global customers, everything from Messi Johnson, Henkel, Procter Gamble, and so many others, that realize that unless they're participating in fixing the world, they're not going to be in business. Be in the paradigm that businesses succeed by investing in what will be and fail by investing in what was. What was sustainability. What was the conversation, oh, I'll do less damage this year than next year. We're beyond that. Look at the Greta generation, the tens of millions of students who marched through the streets. They didn't march so that we do less damage. They're looking for repair. That's the next generation. And the competitive analysis here is that that organization that stands forward and says that they're going to repair the damage that they've done and the damage that their competitors have done are the ones that are going to win. That's the regeneration economy, and that's what we're entering. So if the brand isn't exhibiting regeneration, they're open for competition. They're open to be decimated by the two guys in the garage that have heart and passion.
And these brands also can put this into, obviously we talk a lot on Finextra Sustainable Finance channel about ESG, environmental, social, and governance. This is all can feed into their ESG reporting, which obviously is attracting a huge amount of investor capital. So I
For
assume it's
sure.
helping them with their risk and
That too.
reputation,
That,
their brand,
that
all
too.
of these things.
No
It's
question.
positive, complete positive cycle, isn't it?
No question. It has to be, and it is. And even when we dive deeper, when I ask our brands, why did you participate in the past? Oh, well, consumers are asking, well, what's the challenges today? We can't hire staff is the answer. They don't, this generation, they're not going to work for an organization that's killing the world. They want purpose. We're moving into a purpose economy. It's not give me what I want. It's support the cause that I believe in. And the same goes for your employer. You're not going to go work at an organization. So you won't hire the best and brightest talent. You won't have the greatest executive team because they're not motivated by money. They're motivated by change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know, so you have these great brands, and they're putting a lot of process through. They're actually putting product on the shelves, aren't they? That
Yes.
explicitly label
Yes.
that they're,
Social plastic.
that
Exactly.
it's social plastic. And so this sort of communication is therefore getting to the consumer that you're talking about, which I think is so important. If you go again back down the other end of the chain, I was talking to one of your colleagues, and I thought it was really important to highlight that, people go, oh, well, there could be exploitation where children are sent out to gather the plastic and the collector comes in, and makes the money and it doesn't get to anybody. But you have quite some impressive approaches to that. Can you expand on how you try and avoid that issue?
Ask me the question again. I want to make sure I've
So,
got that right.
yeah, I'm talking about the sort of, child exploitation piece where the gangmaster sends the children out to collect the plastic, but you can use facial
You
pattern
know,
recognition and
well,
so
there's
forth,
all
I
kind
believe.
of set aside all the technology. If we
Yeah,
look really at the root of it all,
yeah.
if you really want to get to that nucleus of this, the reason that children are employed is because the parents don't have enough money to eat, and it's the family that typically employs the child.
Mm,
That is what's happening. So
mm,
what the root solution is to put more money in the hands of those people who are employing their children so that the child can work hard at school.
mm,
Set all of that aside. That's the authenticity. If we really go upstream to look at the solution, that's where it is. And of course, within the technology, within the AI that we have as well, how do we recognize aberration? How do we look for that? What algorithms can we implement to see where spikes are occurring or where other people are generating additional revenue? Then we look at that. We have 160 staff globally that are just looking for those types of things. Of course, we have to steward the family. We've got to steward the child. The only place a child should work hard is at school, period.
mm, mm.
And as a father of three, and as having lost a child as well, we can speak out of our authenticity that we are here to steward the family. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And thank you for highlighting that important piece. We can sometimes think technology is a silver bullet, but absolutely you're right to talk to that more important stewardship. There are incentives all the way through the process, which we're moving at speed here. I wanted to go back over those. So
Sure.
you were talking about microcredits and so forth. Take me through about the sort of the financial incentive
Well, I'll
mechanism.
give you the paradigm. The paradigm is this. If every bottle you ever encountered or every piece of packaging that you saw, and I'll use bottle as a metaphor for all plastic packaging and everything else, if every bottle you saw was £5 or €5 or $5, how many would you see in the waste bin? How many would you see in the ocean? How many would you see in the environment? Would you see any? No, of course not. So two things. Number one, it substantiates that it's not the plastic, it's us. It's not the plastic, it's us. Stop vilifying the material, look inside and see what's occurring. But inside of that, how might we have every piece of packaging look like it's worth something absolutely extraordinary? And when we get into the incentives, like even cell phone minutes that wasn't available for some people, or Wi-Fi that wasn't available, they would have trouble spending their few pennies to buy data. Well, here's an additional incentive. Very easy to provide data and communications, or life insurance, or illness insurance, or insurance for the school. Like we have a program for the school where the child is insured, his tuition is insured. So if something happens to the parent and the parent has to spend time in hospital or can't work, the school tuition is not interrupted. They don't have to withdraw the child from school. Very, very simple. It's just pennies a month. Super simple to bring your family material to the school to have the insurance so that your child can help the family end poverty. Because if they remain illiterate, the poverty of the family will never leave. So that's a huge incentive. Or for a mother in the Philippines whose husband does high risk work, that if something happens to him and he doesn't get paid his daily labor, they'll be left destitute. So it's an insurance package that allows her to name herself as a beneficiary over her husband. So if something happens, he
Mm.
can't work, they still have money. There's all kinds of other ways to continue to provide this beautiful incentive. And for us, it's how might we create a universal basic earned income for every single household? If every single household has $3.75 of basic materials from paper and aluminum and paper and everything else that comes into their house, what value could I provide? Because it's really about having every piece of material returned to manufacturing. It's nothing goes to landfill. There is a world without waste. It's not a world without plastic. It's a world without waste because the material is amazing. How do we use that? At 375, can I give you a gig of data? Can I give you an hour of talk time? Can I give you your insurance? Can I give you clean water? Can I give you everything else that you need? For sure.
So you're giving back the credits for those services rather than money, which
It's
obviously,
either. It's
yeah,
both. Cash is
right,
super important, depends on what they want to do. Some
yeah,
some of our collectors use it as a secondary income so that they
mhm,
can actually buy things because they want to be consumers just like you and me. They
yeah.
also have aspirations to be acknowledged as a customer and things like that. So maybe it's just a secondary income. But at minimum, every single household should be able to look to see what's in it for me. Everyone's got a favorite radio station, WIIFM. Everyone's heard of it. It's what's in it for me. So what's in
Yeah,
it for me? There you go. It's got to be enough of an incentive to have you look at the material differently.
absolutely. And where do you see this going? Is it just a question of scaling volume, or do you see, you know, horizontal applications moving into other areas? Tell me where you see this all going.
Well, we certainly need to be a globally exponential business model. You know, I take it backwards. I say, like, you know, in 30 years from now, 50 years from now, let's say another generation, another 30 some odd years from now, do we really see society taking all of their materials to the curb where someone comes and picks it up and takes it to the landfill? Or do we see the materials returning to circularity? Of course we see it returning to, that's what we're creating for the world. We just started in areas that are leaching the most amount of material into the environment because that's where we need to be.
Mhm.
So it's about creating a global economic model that provides a monetary standard for all material resources, that provides the incentive for every piece of household material to be returned to manufacturing.
Amazing. How can people get involved? There's lots of people, you know, that across, you know, the whole supply chains, NGOs and bankers, goodness knows who else that might be watching this. I mean, for different audiences, how can they engage with you, David?
Well, really, what I want everyone in the world to do is I want you to go into your local store. I want you to go to the retailer and I want you to go ask for the manager in the retail store. And I want you to ask the manager and say, hey, Mr. Manager, can you show me those items that have social plastic in them? Can you show me those items that are recycled material? Can you show me those items that are regenerative? Because they're the ones that listen to you. It's not the big brands. The big brands, they listen to the retailer. So go into the retail store, ask just once. That would change the world on its own. Go let the retailers know that that's what you demand. That's what the world's looking for. Speed it up. That's how you get involved. I don't care if you go to plasticbank.com. I don't care if you do all those things. I don't care all of it. Just go create the demand for the world to change.
And we talk to people here on Finextra TV who are saying, well, I'm going to provide a banking app that's going to tell you what's in your shopping basket to allow you to nudge between, you know, the carbon or the plastic that's actually in your shopping, which is a kind of another digital way of
Cool.
actually
For sure.
making that. Again, they might want to contact you and say, how do
For
we
sure
track
they
your
should. Of
product?
course. I'm David at plasticbank.com. That's easy. Find us, find me in LinkedIn, go to, all of it. I mean, just super available. Just
Yeah,
David and plastic and I'll pretty much come up and I'm super, super available and typically answer everything myself. So everyone can participate. And and then we look for the additional creativity. What other ideas may not be available or might not be in my um seeing so far that could create
mm,
value. Reach
mm,
out, participate. The core value of the company is to gather together, to be the conduit for change, for the world to come together to make the change they want to see. So
amazing.
it's
Well,
the invitation's up to you. It's about everyone else participating. It's not me doing it. I've just created the conduit for the world to do it.
amazing. David, a great point on which to leave us. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And I really look forward to hearing further as we talk to you over the course of the next months and years. God bless.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.